Hi, I'm Bucky Brooks, and this is the Bucky Brooks Show. And I am excited to have former All Pro linebacker, 3 time Pro Bowler, former Seattle Seahawk great Lofa Tatupu, who is also the host of the All Day Podcast. What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, brother, and always excited to talk football.
Yeah, how about that? Like a lot of things going on your former team, Super Bowl champions, and all that. So I want to start there. When we think about the Seattle Seahawks and their championship run, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
For me, and I'm not even biased, it's that number one defense, right? Just incredible to watch. And as you just, we missed starters at every level for several games. And the depth that they had, there's a lot of guys that are going to be Pro Bowlers in the future that are not starters right now. There's a lot of guys that are going to get paid elsewhere because just won't be able to keep everybody, right? But up and down that defensive roster, two deep, even three deep in some spots. It was incredible. And just when other guys got placed in and they had a chance, the standard never changed. And so it was cool. Got some experience on the young guys that are backing up some of those key starters. And it's just, man, I think they have a chance to be even better next year. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, what's so crazy about it? Like, one, they named themselves the Dark Side, and being down in Jacksonville, having to see that team up close and personal, the first thing that stood out to me is how hard they play, like how fast they run to the ball, the physicality that they play with all 11 guys, like secondary guys, everyone. When they hit and run through you, which is really uncommon for a team that has a bunch of DBs on the field.
Oh my God. It's incredible to watch. It's really team football. It's one unit, right? Not a bunch of individuals, talent everywhere, but they play disciplined is really the biggest thing. No one's out of position, so it's very hard to get a big play on these guys, and you're not going to win down in and down out against them. So it's like pick your poison, right? It's that defensive line, man. Um, Demarcus Lawrence is in year like 12 or 13. And a lot of people were writing him up. They said, I don't think he has much left. I can't believe the Seahawks signed him at this point in his career. And he had an injury just a season, I think a season ago. Uh, he looks like he could play another 3 to 5 years, whatever he wants. Like that's how great a shape he is, and the hustle and the effort. When you have one of your best players like him running down the field on multiple occasions in different games and forcing a fumble or recovering it, it sets the tone, for the rest of the guys of what's to be expected.
Yeah, you talk about Demarcus Lawrence. I think about Leonard Williams. I think about Jaron Reed, those veterans that played at a high level with their effort. But it's not just those guys. What about the young guys that they have playing? Byron Murphy, the energy that he played with, the Chinanu Boye Mafe, just the depth and the talent of that defensive line. They just wear you down. And as you talk about their effort, they outwork and they outlast you over the course of a 60-minute game.
You can't double team anybody, and I can't you know, recall a time where Leonard Williams, where he had single blocks multiple times, right? And and then if you do, like you said, all those defensive ends, and Derek Hall too, another defensive end, outside linebacker. So they just if one gets tired, they bring in a fresh one off the bench. Like, okay, my turn. And that I know they play that hard because the reps are limited. Like but Murph, the jump from year one, there's already people labeling bust. You don't know what a kid is until year two, three, or four, right? And so to go from what like a sack and a half last year to 8 or 9 this year, that's some production. That's some serious production. But it's also, I'm sure he would tell you, that's what I love about this team. The other guys take pressure off them. They always give credit elsewhere, right? That's what you see with real teams is when they win and a guy has a great game, he praises everybody else that enabled him to get those opportunities. And when they lose, they look in the mirror first and they, you know, take ownership of their role in the loss. So it's unbelievable chemistry and a brotherhood.
Yeah, you talk about a brotherhood. Normally, when we associate the Seattle Seahawks defense, it's always tied to Legion of Boom. That's kind of like the standard. But the dark side, not only that front that you're talking about, but in the back end, having so many versatile pieces, Devin Witherspoon, Nick Imawari, Julian Love, Kobe Bryant, just the list goes on and on. And the thing that strikes me is their versatility in terms of being multifaceted, multi-positional players with high IQs. When you think about that secondary, what impresses you the most about those guys?
Oh man, it's like you said, man, zone. Even Maury's been playing at the line of scrimmage at times, like a linebacker or even at the end, uncontained, and they can all blitz effectively, not just you know rush a lane, but they are going and headhunting, man, within the rules of the game,
True that.
respectfully. But I mean, it was on full display. Witherspoon had 2 sacks and a forced fumble, which I Nuosu, picked off, I guess, is really what it was, and took it to the house. But Julian Love got the interception over the middle in the game to kind of essentially seal it. It's everybody chips in, and no one gets greedy. No one is so hungry for a play that they, kind of shirk their opportunities or their duties. They're like, hey, I'm gonna hold down my spot in zone. But as soon as that ball comes out, it is a race. And that's what it should look like. That's what great defense is over the history of the game. It's just looked like a bunch of dogs just sicking. Like we're going in.
Yeah, now we'll flip over. I want to lastly hit you on the point on defense about Mike McDonald. You played for great defensive coaches. You've been on really good defenses. When Mike McDonald took over, we knew what he was coming from Baltimore, but what have you seen up close and personal about him putting together great schemes and great game plans?
Oh, I mean, they do a full breakdown, I'm sure of it, of strengths and weaknesses of the opponent. And I just the way he deploys it, right? Like he tells them, this is possibly the only thing they could do out of this. So you're ready on a pivot if a great offensive coordinator, which Shanahan, McVay, all the guys they face, like they'll pick their spots, but then the players will have complete understanding of what is to come. And so it's just fascinating to see because like from the time he was at Michigan and how they climbed the ranks to then Baltimore, and they had historic numbers before he got here. And then in year two to win the Super Bowl, but he even the way him and John are going about it with the guys they pick, right? It's just the most versatile weapons, like you said, that with no weakness, no perceived weakness. And it's hard if someone doesn't have an Achilles heel, so to speak. I'm talking like, yeah, they might do a number of things great, but this is like, in coverage, they might be able to play zone, but they can't play man. That's a problem, right? And they found just well-rounded football players that understand situational awareness down at distance, and then can also handle, the athletic rigors of the game that come with it.
Yeah, you talk about finding great players. I think one of the things that's really impressive is how guys have been able to kind of earn their way onto the field. And one thing that has always impressed about the Seattle Seahawks culture, first under Pete Carroll, but now under Mike McDonald, is how the unheralded guys have been able to get on the field. They go from practice squad to backup players to starters, and no one skips a beat and no one bats an eye. As a former player, how important is it to earn your way onto the field? What does it do for the rest of the locker room when they see guys get opportunities that are earned, not given?
Oh my God, it's a tremendous lift. Just from just a spiritual standpoint of like you want the toughest out on defense is what I'm speaking to specifically. You want the toughest guys out there. And if they got a couple things that we got to refine and work, like you're saying, develop them, we can bring them along. But if you don't just want to run through someone's face, you better be the best coverage guy, the best pass rusher that we've ever seen. Because at some point, not wanting to hit, and I mean, let's just call it what it is. On defense, we were trying to break your will.
Yeah.
That's as easy as it is. And that's what I loved about Ray Bob. We ran a real simple scheme, quarters. We want to get real crazy or cute. We're going to run a little cover two and line up at quarters depth, right? So it's like to give them a little something different to look at. But when that ball snapped, there's no excuse, and we're all running to the ball in a bad mood.
You talk about being in a bad mood. There are a lot of people that are in bad moods, from the New York Jets to Carolina Panthers, Minnesota Vikings, because they all allow Sam Darnold to walk out that door. And he walked out and found himself in a position to lead a team to a Super Bowl despite having some struggles early in his career. Being a former Trojan, you know what it's like to kind of see him kind of navigate those obstacles. Like, how impressed are you with Sam Darnold overcoming all the adversity on his journey?
It's a testament to his will and spirit, right, as a competitor. Um, I don't think a lot of people understand how hard it is to make it in the league, period. But to have all your hopes and dreams pinned to you when you're drafted, and it's not fair to the kid or the quarterbacks, right? You're getting drafted high because the team was not very good to begin with, and to expect just any young man to walk into an NFL locker room and become a leader and just carry them after a 2-win, 3-win season or whatever it was that got them the first overall pick or a top 5 pick, it's unfair to the kid. And so just he got his swagger back, man. He got his confidence. He got everything back because he had the talent. He has unbelievable talent, and I feel like he's just scratching the surface of what he can do. Um, I thought his relationship with Kubiak, I believe it goes back a couple teams. Might have been in San Fran or somewhere together, but so Kubiak knows what plays he's comfortable with and what his skill set is, which he could do anything. I would like to even see him run more. I mean, I'll never forget that run he had on Monday or Sunday night. He went like 50 yards. He was just trying to get a first down. And then he was like, oh, wait, no one's catching me. And he took off for 50 yards. And I was like, okay, I didn't know he could do that. I mean, I never really saw him do that at SC because he just, he had time and he could throw the ball. And that's the thing is, I think Sam really figured out that unlike high school, college, and everywhere he's been, he doesn't have to win the game every time. Yes, he's capable of throwing for 400-yard games, and even 350 and 4 touchdowns like he did against the Bucks and a couple other teams. But he doesn't have to do it. And when you relieve that pressure, you also relieve that fear from a competitor's mind. And so I think that's you know Sam will give credit to the coaches, but he deserves the credit for man in the arena, stepping back in there and going for it.
Now, there's some people that will say, "Hey, Sam did a great job. Clint Kubiak, that system really worked out well." But now Clint Kubiak is the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. Rick Dennison, the offensive line guru, is also down there with them. Does it keep going? Does it change? Like, how confident are you that they can sustain it without the play caller that helped the team win the Super Bowl?
It's tough, but I believe a lot of the things the Cougs did was similar from like Shanahan's, and I think it's a Flurry that they brought over from
Yeah,
San Fran. I believe that was a very strategic hire and a great hire in terms of, I mean, I'm sure he knows the offense in and out, but probably has an understanding of how to bring Sam along or work with Sam, right? I think that's one of the biggest relationships in that building is the quarterback and the offense coordinator. Are they on the same page, right? Um, and so I think that's why the hire was there. And I believe, yes, they can. More of a concern is Charbonnet's hurt and K9's a free agent, and we haven't signed him. And so, it's Super Bowl MVP, K9, who had almost 500 yards in the postseason. And I was so happy for him. A kid that's been injured for like unbelievable rookie year, injured the next two, and then on contract year, uh, just has unbelievable finish to the season. And so, the run game is very important to a quarterback. And you can have all the great weapons like JSN, who had one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen. Um, Even the tight ends, Barner, all those guys. But if you don't have a running game and you're one dimensional, it's tough sledding.
Now, speaking of that, because there's kind of been this belief that, hey, they're just going to let K9 walk out the door and maybe the system will just create another running back that can do it. When you look at K9, his effectiveness in the postseason, how much of it is him? How much of it is the system? And can you replicate that with another back that they may find in the later rounds?
Yeah, it's a great to expect a rookie to replicate what a veteran does. I mean, yes, it happens every now and then, right? You have a Kareem Hunt or somebody that, I think Kareem was a third round
Yeah.
and he just leads the league in rushing. That is special, right? It can happen. So I will never say no, but to expect it out of the gate, I would say is rare. And we'll see. But yeah, it was a combination of both. It was I don't even know if I could put a percentage on it, like 60-40 or, but like it looked 50-50. There was times I saw K9 miss some cuts that would have led to even more explosive, especially with his 21 or whatever mile per hour speed he's hit before. Like you're not catching that guy in the open field. But then there was like that 40-yard run where the three tech had the B gap. He took a nice slow jab step to the A. When the he cross face, it was out the door. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that was something different I hadn't seen from K9. At times, it was almost like he was in a rush or frantic just to like, I'm just gonna run through anything that's there. It's like, yeah, time and a place. Third one, do what you want, kid. But like the best running backs I've ever seen were just the masters of like tempoing and manipulating time and space. Like Le'Veon Bell, Shady McCoy of the recent, generations, the way they did it, like they would walk to the line. And then as soon as they saw someone fold, it's like, yup, like I'm out. And so that is, one of the toughest duties to handle because guys get impatient, right? They're like, okay, usually the ball hits by now with every other running back, but when you got someone like them that know, like, okay, this guy has been susceptible to getting nosy and peeking inside. That's the short edge. I'm out. And he K9 did that. I believe it was against the Rams or the
Yeah.
49ers towards the goal line. You know which one I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Just he got it and he saw a short edge collapse. He was like, yeah. And that's with his speed, I would tell him, I was like, "Yeah, you could be more patient." And I think that's also what we saw at Charbonnet. He let it develop, and especially on the inside hitting runs when someone had to cross face or get over the top, he's like, yeah, okay, and then press. And so those are as a linebacker, those are tough guys to go against. No, I mean, not just because they're speed and size and power, but when they know where you're supposed to be and they lead you with a drag step out here and then hit it downhill on a moment's notice. It's tricky, right?
No, it is great. You briefly touched on it, and I want to talk about it because I think I can't talk about one without the other. Cooper Cup was signed as a veteran that many people felt like didn't have anything left. I don't believe it's a coincidence that Cooper Cup comes on board and JSN game goes to another level. You've seen those guys operate in practice. There's a lot of yin and yang and information exchange between wide receivers in those rooms. What kind of impact did Cooper Cup have on the team, but more specifically on JSN?
Oh man, you would have to ask JSN that because I'll tell you what, this kid JSN is an alien. I've never seen a guy bracketed and still catch it short. I've never seen a guy, high load and still beat both deep. And it's just like even was Jamar Chase was like, I get doubled a lot too, but I don't know how he's getting behind these DBs. And it's like, man, I don't either because I'm sitting there watching it, and then it's like he's got a second gear. But I guarantee you, there's little nuances, little things that he's probably imparted to him that have definitely got. It's no coincidence, right? Same thing with when he was in LA and Puka took off as a rookie, and Coop wasn't even on the field to draw some of the coverage away, or the hardest best coverage corner on him. And so it's it was special to see, and I was happy for Coop. I remember like just as a football guy, I used to read stats, and I was like, "Who is this kid at Eastern Washington putting up 1,700 yards every year?" And you watch him, and he's just—I didn't realize he was that big. He's like 6'2", I don't know if he's 205, 210, but like he looks small on the field, Coop. At least he did when I was watching college tape. And he's a big dude, but I really would have liked to seen them use him over the middle against linebackers a
Hmm.
little more. Like guys that played zone, I thought he could have had massive numbers because he's still hard to catch for those guys, and he knows how to position and pivot, right? Like he'll bring it in and then stop, and if you give a step in, he's already back out. Catch, that's easy first down. So I think he had a good majority against the Steelers from what I remember, and that's what I was like, just keep going to Coop over the middle, and then just uncork one to JSN, and then we traded for Shaheed. My God, that
Yeah.
is one of the fastest human beings I've ever seen in my life, and he just looks so smooth. It's so effortless. It's incredible.
Yeah, speaking of incredible, so now obviously when you win one, everyone begins to think, can you win two? You've been on a team that has gone to a Super Bowl. You know the challenge of the next year when you become the measuring stick for everybody. Right now on FanDuel Sportsbook, Seattle Seahawks are plus 750 to be the Super Bowl winner in next year's Super Bowl. So when you think about the daunting challenge of going back to back, what do you Bleav the biggest challenge will be facing the Seahawks?
Oof. Playing that long of a season is, and when you're playing, you don't think anything of it. But, everybody's had a month, majority of leagues had a month to prepare, take their rest, and now get bigger, stronger, faster, while you just coming off of, your last game. And so that recovery is crucial. Losing pieces, like I don't even know. I know K9's free agent. I don't know who else. I know there's going to be a couple names in there. It's like tough decisions are going to be have to be made, and you know, I could see. I don't know who it is, but some people restructuring or taking a hometown discount to, go after it one more time, and like you said, just when you go to the Super Bowl, we lost, and people still trying to knock us out. Like, well,
Yeah.
they went last year, so they have a great chance of going again, right? And I think we lost in the divisional. Robbie Gould kicked like a 55 yarder into the wind. It was like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me? Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? So it's yeah, it's not easy. And it's a different team every year, right? Um, it's guys get plucked to other teams, and rightfully so. They got their ring. Go get paid for your family, man. You've earned it. But I'm happy they all sacrificed and they got that ring together, and that's special. Forever champions.
Yeah, you talk about forever champions. And so now I want to turn the page. So once the Super Bowl ends, we begin to think about draft season and those things. And because you've been through this process as a second round pick, 2005 NFL draft, uh, mindset going through this pre draft process, going all the way back 20 plus years, what do you think young prospects are thinking about now as they're prepping for what is eventually going to be the biggest day of their life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so much has changed, right? We didn't have social media back then. We didn't, ways to market ourselves or anything. But um, it's crazy because even standards and norms change, right? Like no one, anybody that got invited to the combine worked out. They did everything,
Yeah.
and I wish to God I didn't run the 40 in my 4.85 40. I wish someone would have told me, bro, you got enough tape. Just let the tape do the talking. Because I mean, I'm not saying I was a first round pick, but that damn sure didn't help me.
Nah, it didn't. It didn't. I'll just be honest. Like being in the scouting game or whatever, like that's a hard sell sometimes. You talk about a
Oh yeah.
4.85 40. I want to ask you this, and this relates to one of the top prospects. Avril Reese from Ohio State is a guy who is an off-ball linebacker who also has pass rush ability, and the league is chasing the Micah Parsons effect. But as a guy who has only started one season at Ohio State, how hard is it going to be to take on multiple jobs when you haven't played a lot of football in college?
It makes me think a lot about Bruce Irvin, who we had. It's unfair to the kid, right? Doesn't even know one position that he can call home, right? Where if he's not picking everything up because we had him playing Sam, D end. behind the off-ball linebacker. It was like, and then in the blitz package where he was like the Joker, the one that was moving. That is so much to learn and remember. And this was all supposed to be to make it easier for him to make more plays. And I was like, yo, he'll make play if we just let him line up and go. He will make plays. I promise you, just by his size, speed, toughness, and athleticism. And so it's I would really watch that tape and be very critical about what does he do best and what are we asking him to do, because otherwise you're setting both the organization and, even worse, the kid up for failure. Like it's tough.
It is a tough deal. It's one of those things that we have to revisit. And I want to make sure that I bring you back on, or I jump on your podcast so we can talk about some of those things, because I'm fascinated by the linebacker position. I'm fascinated by the way the game is going, and I want to have a full episode to be able to talk about all those things. I am so happy that Lofa Tatupu was able to join the program. We got to make sure we check out your thing, All Day Podcast, right here on the Bleav Network. Thanks so much for coming on the Bucky Brooks Show.
I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man, thanks so much, man. Guys, make sure you tune in later in the week. We're going to have some more stuff from the NFL Combine. Bucky Brooks is on everything as it relates to the NFL Draft. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.